Good evening and welcome to Development Corridor, one of our programs where we ventilate those things that would help our nation to develop. You know, we are looking at a milestone, very, very important milestone to any Nigeria. The milestone where we can say, oh, we have a Nigeria that works for everybody, but we have to build it. And we have a very prominent personality here in education to discuss what we call the dual mandate. You know, this dual mandate, we're going to emphasize on it with him, a person of Dr. Mohammed Kebiru from Kogi State College of Education. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Yeah. As usual, I have my colleague here, a very unfriendly friend. Please not come here to talk.
I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, but you're still welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, let's get at it. So, Dr. Kebiru, we appreciate your coming around, and we know how tight your schedules can be. And Nigerians are interested, in knowing when we say the new dual mandate policy for colleges of education. What does it mean?
It's okay. Thank you very much for having me. So, as we know, there are different tiers of tertiary education system in Nigeria. So, at the first tier, that's where we have the colleges, side by side with the polytechnics. And then from there, which normally would award, so the colleges will award the C certificate after 3 years of studentship. The polytechnics will award OND, and then they move from there to HND. Now, students are expected, ordinarily, graduating from the colleges of education after 3 years, to have obtained an NC certificate, and then move on to the university, where they are still expected to sit for a direct entry exam JAMB, and when they pass and meet some requirements, they are enrolled into 200 level. So what that means is after 3 years in the colleges of education, they spend a minimum of another 3 years.
Or even more.
Or even more, as the case may be. Of course, subject to the students' performance. So this has actually affected significantly the choice of prospective students in settling for colleges of education. So what you have seen over the years is that if given the opportunity, most students who sit for JAMB would want to mostly be in the universities. Then maybe an average number will want to be in the polytechnics, because from the polytechnic is a bit seamless. You finish ND,
you can go direct entry.
So the College of Education appears to be the only one that is left in limbo. So you must finish from the college and end up in the university. So this new dual mandate is a response to this challenge. So there's been several cry by stakeholders, Committee of Provosts, KSCOE, very many stakeholders in the College of Education system, that if nothing is done, we're gradually approaching a situation where we wake up one day and no College of Education will be in existence in this country. Because what we are finding is gradually colleges were losing students. Of course, what's the essence of buildings without students? So this dual mode mandate is a response to this challenge. Is an act, a Federal College of Education Act 2023, signed into law by the President, and it empowers colleges of education to, in addition to NC certificate, award B.Ed, that's degree. So the mandate simply now increases the scope of colleges of education. So in addition to being NC awarding institutions, they have mandate now to award degree. So it's a 2-in-1. That's why it's dual. That's why the whole dual came. So the mandate allows you to do two things.
So it's not like we are substituting the NCE.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So people could still choose to remain with the NCE and not probably go for
exactly. So that's the beauty of it. You can be enrolled after 3 years. If you want to stop there, it ends there.
Yeah.
But you have an opportunity of, after 3 years, you'll be awarded an NCE certificate.
Yeah.
Then you make, without necessarily being subjected to any external.
That's
Yeah.
seamless.
Exactly.
Admission
It's
process.
seamless.
Admission process
Exactly.
again.
So which has always been the challenge.
Yes.
So no jam is going to come in and worry you with a direct entry anymore. So it's a seamless transition from NCE into the degree. So you spend another 2 years and you graduate to the
It
BA.
looks peaceful.
So that's in details what the dual mandate policy is.
This appears to be a very peaceful approach, but I'm just curious. A lot of schools now are just able to award NCE, in attempt to award something that you have to need more time to study. You are probably going to need, what about the faculty, the lecturers, and are they going to go through retraining? In short, what are the challenges you are envisaging in moving from where you are in terms of the educational infrastructure to where you can conveniently award a degree, Bachelor's of Education?
Oh, thank you for that question. So, I spent the whole of my educational career in the university, basically.
Yeah.
I'm an associate professor.
Wow.
So I had the opportunity of first time coming into a college of education system in 2021 when I was appointed provost of the other college in Akpa.
Okay.
Now, in the last 4 or 5 years that I've been in the college of education system, usually we in the university will look at the college as if it's a place where you don't find professionals.
Yes.
Or good heads. But my experience
Proved
has
otherwise.
taught otherwise. You have wonderful, intelligent, smart academic staff in the college of education system. Now, so the fear of manpower, I can guarantee you that a good number of these colleges have what it takes. Because the minimum you require to teach in the degree is actually a PhD.
Yeah.
So that area, I can assure you that most colleges of education have what it takes. In fact, I remember the accreditation team that came in, I think in 2022, to assess our facilities for the usual NCE accreditation. After looking at our laboratories, I remember what the team leader made the remarks that even some universities do not have this kind of science laboratories. That tells you the richness of resources in these colleges. So for the area of manpower and resources, I don't think we have a lot to worry about. One very quick area I envisage there might be a bit of challenge, of course, which will involve some handshake, is between who exactly is going to superintend over that program. So before now, you have the NCC, National Commission for Colleges of Education, which oversees or regulates the NCE awarding. So, and you had National Universities Commission, NUC,
for bachelor's degree.
So now you have a program that is combining
these two
both into one.
These two regulatory authorities.
Exactly. So a clear definition of what role each
would play
is supposed to play is that one area where I think that the fine details needs to be well worked out. But I strongly believe that there will be a handshake between both regulatory agencies towards a formidable regulation. But in terms of resources, manpower, physical resources, infrastructure, I can beat my chest that most of these colleges, federal and state alike, are very prepared to commence this program.
Interesting. Before I will hand over to my colleague to ask you a question. You mentioned that you spent a lot of your time in the academic environment.
Yeah.
What inspired you to be, let me call it the normal name we'll call it, what inspired you to be a teacher?
Point of correction. Academician.
It's okay. So, sincerely, if anybody tells you that growing up, of course, when you hear the lamentation of teachers at various levels, be it primary, secondary, all the way up,
tertiary,
sincerely, as a young boy or girl,
you're not praying for that.
you will really not want to take passion in it. But increasingly, I personally, my own story is that of mentorship.
Okay.
Late Professor F.S. Idachaba of blessed memory, who was at that time the Vice Chancellor of Kogi State University, now Prince Abaka Audio University, introduced this novel idea whereby the best graduating students in each department had the opportunity of being employed automatically into academics. So I would say, accidentally, I found myself, my only sin was that I performed well as a student. And so I was offered...
Not defined your vision.
Yeah, so more like it. So I was offered the job, and then I found myself in academics. So it was more like, when I got there, I started loving the profession. And so looking back, I think I actually made the right choice. Good. So it will not give you all the money you want immediately, but you'll find fulfillment, especially in the fact that you have opportunity of impacting and shaping lives of young men and women. So it's not an everyday passion you find around, but of course it can be better. Yes.
Okay. Good. Let me allow him to.
Now, the problem a lot of institutions have in Nigeria is funding. Are you guys being funded well?
Is anybody being funded? There's always room for improvement. So they are different. We can divide this into two: federal colleges and state colleges.
Yeah.
Now, for the state colleges, you have an opportunity of having the state governor, who is a visitor to the college, investing in critical areas of our institution. So in addition to that, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund, of course, has largely invested in infrastructural development in most schools. So the gap that TED Fund covers is that before now, it has always been about the state government, and we have come to see that the state and federal government alone cannot do it. So as much as these tiers of government do, TED Fund covers for the rest. So situation is way better than it has ever been. Yes. But of course, there's room for improvement.
Yes. Now, we then, when we were growing up, we knew NC to, that's what it's popularly called, to bring out good quality teachers. Do you understand? That will in turn be turned into the society so that our level of education can be very high. And I think there's some level of requirement that if you don't have an NC or a BEd, you can't teach in a school. Though sometimes there's a shortcut that some of the private schools we have today, that's what they do and all that. Now, is that quality of training still available at NCA?
I would say yes. And that's why for us as stakeholders in the educational sector, we are worried about the future of the colleges. Because trust me, the area where you can find this quality, because the mandate of the colleges of education is actually to train teachers for middle level education systems. So talking about the primary and secondary. And you agree with me, that's the foundation.
Yes.
So if anything is faulty with the foundation, the entire building is gone. So the colleges remains where you can find this quality of teachers. So the curriculum still allows you to achieve that aim. Teaching practice, all of the training is tailored towards producing professional teachers. That I can assure you of. However, there are challenges. And part of this challenge is what we're talking about, the declining enrollment issue. Because of the externalities. These externalities is perception of students about number of years to be spent and all of that. So for us, that's why we're excited about this dual mandate. It helps us to keep our colleges of education. which is
return students.
Exactly, the original, with the original curriculum of training teachers. And it is our belief that at the end of the day, those teachers who would emerge from this college, either with the combination of NC and BEd, will be way better than those that will come from
in fact, that's what I wanted to come to. Now, there's going to be an improved quality of teachers that we are going to be chunking out from these colleges of education / university awarding degree power.
Absolutely.
So it's going to really help to boost stuff.
So it's like a bit of, you're now bringing all the goodness in conventional universities, which is the BEd now, and you're bringing it to add to that richness of the NC certificate. So you can just imagine the quality of graduates that will emerge from this system. So we're very confident that the way this is outlined, if it's followed, the curriculum is developed. I was opportune to be at the level of committee provost who participated in developing the new curriculum. So it's very rich. So if well implemented, I can assure you that the quality of teachers that will emerge from this new system would definitely be one that would fit in to the mid-level education system.
Okay. I was to ask you, just mention that curriculum. It's actually one of my questions here. As it is today, what is the significant difference between the curriculum for NCE and that of the curriculum for BEd?
So, for me, I think the curriculum for the NCE is more practical, is richer. Because it's more focused. See, over the last 4 or 5 years, I've had opportunity of speaking to students, some of our students who graduated from the NCE program, have gone ahead
moved to the
university. And they tell you, see, the same course, the courses we do in 200 and 300 levels are the courses we're doing in NC1, in NC2. So I'm sure that answers the question. The NC curriculum
is rich.
Is very rich. So ordinarily, we have always been advocating that the students you are taking, the NC students who have done NC 1, 2, 3, alongside teaching practice, that you are taking into 200 level in the university, you're wasting their time.
Exactly.
Because you are repeating
what they've learned again.
So for us, we still hold strongly that foundational curriculum of the NCE program is richer. So what we just need is a top-up, which is what the BEd will do to the new program.
Let me quickly ask you one question. Go ahead. This new policy now, this new act of College of Education, how is it going to be propagated that people are going to be aware of what, do you understand, it's for? Then secondly, are government going to provide incentive to attract people to this new standard of educating educators in that sense? Because there needs to be some incentives, and all that. What to show? I have an elder sister, my immediate elder sister. They took her in education in Ambrosali University, and she said my mother was a teacher. She said, I don't want education. I know how my mother suffered.
That's where he started.
Exactly. I said, I don't want to do education, accounting education. She repeated 100 level to go to real accounting, but as we speak, she has one of the biggest schools in Benin.
After trying to teach education,
she now had to go and do a diploma in education. Now had to go. Now she's a doctor.
And that was why God was focusing her in education at the early stage. If I might bring it to things like that.
There should be some incentive to, because somehow education right now has become a business.
Of course.
Are there going to be those incentives to attract some people into this stuff?
Yeah. So that's a very good question. Now, I think part of somewhere in all of this, when this act was being bettered, the argument, I think it's somewhere, the argument is that graduates of this combined NC and BEd will be placed on level 8 in the civil service, ahead of their counterparts who will normally, graduates level 7.
Yeah.
So they have one level ahead.
Yeah.
That's one beauty about this.
Yes.
Now, there's also over the years have been people have been advocating at all levels, federal, state, that there should be a special bursary allowance paid to undergraduate students who are enrolled in the faculties of education. So that to me, I think there was a time when that was there was a time Federal Ministry of Education called for data of all our students in C1 to 3. I think it was tailored towards planning for that special bursary allowance for students. So if that is in place, just like we do for medical students over the years, if that is in place, once you are enrolled in any educational program, you know that you earn a special bursary for being
in education.
So that, together with that incentive of knowing that you graduate, you're going to, for example, like our counterparts in the medical doctors and vets, medicine, the moment they graduate, they complete all their professional programs. They are placed on a way higher. So that's exactly what the idea is for this program as well too. So such incentives will definitely drive students into this program. Yes.
All right, good one. I think this program, this dual mandate, is not a policy that was initiated just to have a policy. It's a policy that is initiated to solve some problems. One of them that we highlighted before is to solve retainership problems so that you can retain your students. Another one is about institutional relevance or preservation of institutions so they don't go into extinction. Some other one is your ability to ensure that instead of affiliating with a university to award a degree, you do it yourself. So now, if this is to solve a problem, we are going to be able to measure at some point whether this policy has actually been able to solve the problems we say is going to solve. Can you give us a timeline, 1 year, 2 years from kickoff, where you think we should be able to say this program has solved it?
So basically, it's a 5-year program. So what it means is the Honorable Minister has, I think last month, given a matching order. So it's a policy that has been existing since 2023. It's not new, not all that new. So, but the problem has been how to move from the white paper to implementation. Yes. So they've had different levels of implementation committees comprising of all the stakeholders in the educational sector. Now the Honorable Minister has come out to give a matching order that all federal colleges should prepare, that they are kickstarting in September 2025. So what it means is, all things being equal, if the first set of intakes into the special combined program happens towards the end of the year, it means they will be graduating in another 5 years. So the first graduates will be emerging, say maybe in 2010. 2030, thereabout. So why not? Let's wait till. Why not give it 5 years
and see
which is the lifespan of the program itself.
Program.
What is going to happen is that on an annual basis, we're going to see. What I'm very confident about is that the enrollment in colleges will jack up. It's not going to be almost immediately, but it's going to be a gradual increase. So which has been,
and in general, this will also help the entire educational system.
Absolutely.
This pressure on university and all that.
So imagine a university has an opening for 7,000 and 17,000 is writing post-UTM. It doesn't make any sense. So what it means is that a lot of this traffic can be redirected to colleges of education, because you know that at the end of the day, you are in there for a degree, which is what you are still going to get in conventional universities.
Prof, I want to ask you a question that really bothers me. And it's not perfectly in line with, of course, definitely education. How come these days we have British educational curriculum, American educational curriculum, Nigerian Ghana school? How come? Don't we have our own? As a nation, The name of the school, if he wants to say, it has to have British. It has to have America.
It's even so bad now that they want to observe their spring break the same time.
The same
American
time.
Exactly.
The same time. In fact, they won't go on break when everybody's going on break. They'll go on break when the American system is going on break. How come?
The answer to that is simply the same craze that is driving us to patronize foreign goods ahead of our made in Nigeria goods.
Yes.
The reality is, for us in the educational sector, we have advocated long ago that there is no education that is complete for a child. What happened to history? What happened to our local language? Yoruba, Hausa. They used to teach our students. All of that curriculum is being ditched because we want our students to speak in it. Yeah, that's the idea.
Which is just a language.
Yes,
English is just a language.
You know, parents now compete who the world's English language is Queen's
accent.
Nothing more.
That's
Nothing
all,
more.
which is nothing.
So, I had the opportunity of doing a PhD in England,
Yeah.
and I saw firsthand that most of us Nigerian students here who did their first and master's degree from here were competing shoulder high with our counterparts from other parts of the world.
If not even higher.
Even better.
Yes.
I remember I had a friend then who came in from Thailand, and in the PhD program of the University of Reading in the UK, the first year is like a weed-off program. So you come in, do coursework, do seminar, and at the end of the day, the weighted average of your coursework and your seminar will determine whether you stay on and get an MPhil or you go on and get a PhD.
Yes.
The chap could not make it. He went home. He said the state government said they can't pay for MPhil. So if it's not PhD, you should return home. But some of us, we crossed. And we finished in record time. So for me, there's no other better way to say it that other than saying the same craze that is pushing us to prefer foreign goods to made in Nigeria is the same thing you are saying playing out.
Okay, so my interest also now is the ministry. Are they not being supervised? Is there no I don't know what to call it now. These private schools, they should come under Ministry of Education, because I know that if you go abroad and school, before you can get to youth service, you must come and register your certificate from that school before you can go for youth service. Yes. You register it, they will contact the school, something they do like that. Are there no control from Ministry of Education for these schools, and don't we have our own standard?
So, for me, you know, Federal Ministry of Education at federal level, the State Ministry of Education are supposed to play supervisory roles over all these schools, secondary, primary, alike. Now, the issue is, as much as your supervisory role should not actually be such that you are seen to suppress, because so it's basically the same way where if you come to the supermarket, you have on display goods produced from different parts of the world. So it's left for you to specifically, the patriotism in you is supposed to drive you towards made in Nigeria goods, which is what we are preaching. So what the supervisory ministry is just doing is put all the curriculum on display for you to see. Which do you prefer? So, but the question as to standards, that's where the ministry comes in. So if you said you are putting a British curriculum and you have allowed students enroll for that, are they getting value for money? And then the usual student-teacher ratio and all the environment and all of that, those issues. But as to say there's a legislation that no British schooling, that's going to be extreme. It won't get to that level. So it's now left for you to say all of this is on display. And mind you, these schools are very expensive. So how many families can actually? They are not cheap. I can't afford that for my own.
They are not cheap. This a little bit political issues, but there are countries like Rwanda, for example. They don't allow private school. The same school your child attend is the same school the child of your driver would attend. It's the same school the child of a president would attend. That's what Rwanda operates, because they just maintain that standard. Okay, is there no way, even sometimes we look at it as extreme, but patriotism, if you score 100%, is not extreme. Is there no way we can tell make our thing, at least to come first? Our president just, inaugurated a policy the other day, Nigeria First policy, telling all, departments of the government to patronize Nigeria. Except we don't produce that goods or such services, we cannot. Is there no way we can introduce this thing into training of trainers, which is what you do, training of teachers?
It's okay. So this whole issue of we've seen it in display. We've seen in display where I think we heard of a time where a state governor was insisting that his children has to go to public schools and so that they can be at par with other children. But the issue is, in reality, so what we're demanding from the state government, federal government, or government at all levels, is to ensure that even our public schools have been brought to a level where children of the so-called ordinary man is exposed to the best of education. So if you do that, they become automatically attractive.
Exactly.
And you would naturally see the law of course,
economics.
Yes. So if you are paying so much for what is available in schools,
why not take it free?
Why not take it free? For example, one of the things we enjoy in Kogi State, where I come from till today, is a free education at primary and secondary level, introduced by the former governor.
Awudu?
No. Alhaji Aduzabelu.
Okay.
And it's been taken over by the current governor, Alhaji Usman Ododo.
Okay.
So a situation whereby public schools in the state operate tuition free. I remember when I was in Akba as Provost, the memo came and the demonstration school of the college, we ceased taking tuition, was declared free.
Wow.
In fact, it has even been taken step higher, where external exams from BC to WAEC, NECO, JAM, been paid for by the state government.
Is that available to all Nigerians, even though you're not indigenous of Kogi State?
If you happen to be
so that
resident,
we'll start moving.
Please come to Kogi State. So if you
those are laudable programs policies that are run by some state governments that nobody ever gets to know.
Sincerely, it's been in existence in Kogi State for well over three years now.
Wow.
Yes, the free education policy.
Interesting.
So at all levels, the education is free, tuition free.
Interesting. All right, there's something the minister said. Yeah, let me just read it directly. He said, "No nation can rise above the quality of its teachers. No nation can rise above the quality of its teachers." How do we increase the quality of our teachers so that Nigeria can rise beyond that? One way, beyond that position we occupy now.
Let us invest more in the training of our teachers. I would have started from welfare. But welfare is the end product. Let us go to the factory first, where they are being trained. We'll come to welfare. Let's increase more in the training of our teachers. The colleges are doing their best. But if you ask me, I would want a special fund. We have a tertiary education trust fund, TED fund. Let another fund, I'm advocating for another fund.
Just for education, focused institutions.
Yes. For example, if you have a special fund for this program that is supposed to commence, this dual mode, that money should be invested in colleges of education. Because, trust me, teacher training is cost effective. It's cost intensive.
It's rigorous.
Because it's rigorous. Because moving from the classroom experience down to the teaching practice process and all of that. So, and you can agree with me that teaching is evolving. What COVID-19 taught us is that we're too relaxed.
Exactly.
Students move from face to face to e-learning.
So yeah, virtual. Yeah.
So we had to emergency. We're all trying to do the catch-up game. The e-learning platform were being introduced by schools. For the first time, you saw more than 80% of the schools were forced to migrate
to e-learning.
To e-learning. So, in our usual ways, we have gone back. Now that the COVID has, we're not praying for any other thing. But what if something else happens?
Because it will always happen.
Yes. Exactly. So, let us invest more in our infrastructures. Nobody says face-to-face teaching is not good, but we can complement that with the e-learning.
Yeah.
So we'll need to invest more in training of our teachers. Then let us also work towards bettering their welfare. Because as teachers, sometimes you interact with some of these students who are training to be teachers, HC, and the lamentations by the teachers in the field is not encouraging in terms of welfare.
The reward is in heaven.
Exactly. No, but we have decided that let us take in heaven as well.
Let's start from here.
Let's take in heaven. Double portion.
Double portion.
Yeah, so let's invest more and then of course also have better welfare for our teachers. Yeah. A combination of these two the outcome would definitely be such. So the training should be constant, training and retraining, especially in these new methodologies in teaching, in terms of the content, in terms of delivery. Our teachers need to be at par with teachers from other parts of the world.
And in terms of social space too, because most of the teachings are now done in classroom online.
Exactly. The world is a global village. So we should be able to synergize with teachers from other parts of the world. So investment and better welfare will go a long way.
All right, let me ask you this question. You know, in Nigeria, we're very class conscious. As a matter of fact, if you see people that attended UNN, Unilag, Uniben, Amabelo, I went to Amabelo, I went to Unilag, I went to this. I'm just wondering, these colleges of education, are they going to change their name from Kogi State College of Education? Because also, your degree is not from Kogi State College of Education. My own is from Amabelo University. Are they going to change their name? Is there not going to be discrimination or anything like that? How do you see that being covered? Because at the end of the day, if you train teachers who are feeling deficient in some form, they are not going to put up their best.
One thing, so the answer to your question is no.
Okay.
We will retain our identity. Okay. And that's what we've always struggled for. The idea of converting colleges to universities of education, we as committee of proposal never really liked that idea because you are losing your identity.
Value too.
We are not universities. Yes. We are colleges. We are specialized colleges.
As a matter of fact, what people don't understand is, particularly Nigerians, the way we think, that in the universities are made up of colleges.
Exactly.
So
specialized.
College of medicine, college of engineering, college of so they don't realize that.
So you can't just take one college and make it a university overnight. No. So our names are not going to change. Okay. We'll retain our identity.
College of education.
What we are hoping for is that very, very soon, and you invite me back here in a couple of years, graduates that are going to emerge from colleges will be ranking higher for B.Ed program than their counterparts on conventional
because they are focused.
Yes. They are going to be better trained, better placed, and better welfare. So we expect that people will now begin to shun the universities for B.Ed and come to us.
All right, one more question probably before I allow him to say something, then we'll start thinking of how to round up. The admission requirements, are they going to change?
So that is part of why we said there's need to be a synergy between both regulatory framework. So usually for the NCA program, 5 level credits have a JAM score of 100 and so basically 100. So what has been happening is the universities will take, so when we come for JAM policy meeting, they would put, for over the years we've been advocating that the universities should not over-reduce their cutoff points. Because if you reduce your cutoff points too much, you are eating into the potential students that would have actually been in the college.
In college, yes.
So every time we come, surprisingly, we see vice chancellors advocating for as low as 100.
No. Who will go to the college?
That's the problem. So that every time we come for JAMB policy meeting, we keep raising this issue, but nobody listens, especially the private universities who are looking for students.
Yeah.
So the requirement for colleges has always been that 100 5-level credits, including English and maths.
That's also not.
So it's something that NUC and NCC will need to sit down and look at it. Now that is admission into NC cum degree, what is going to happen to these entry requirements? So those are the fine details that I feel will be worked out as the implementation date draws nearer.
Let's hope everything goes on smoothly. So, Kingsley,
okay, in closing, first of all, thank you for coming. We are really enlightened and educated about this. But most of the time, there's something you mentioned just now. It looks as if it's people of low intelligence that goes to colleges. Is that really true?
No. And that's part of what we want to change. So the idea of 100 and it doesn't mean we have students within the college who have scored 200 and above. We're only saying a minimum of 100.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that for the fact that we can come as low as 100 does not mean we don't have students who have 180, 170, 200.
I agree with you.
We have students most of our students who emerge from the NCE program go to become stars in the DX program in universities.
Yeah.
So that notion of colleges being for only the reject is not true.
And it can't be true because
it's not true.
Because colleges, remind you, colleges has additional capability. You are going to be able to learn, you're going to be able to teach. Some people know they can solve maths very well, quick book smart, but tell him to come and teach you.
It becomes a problem.
Because before I got into the university, I wasn't that a bright student.
I'm going to check if you are not bright.
So my mother was always displeased. So when I finished secondary school, let's go he should go to College of Education. I said, Mommy, all the children in university, only me, because I know that good.
That's the wrong.
I rejected it, but I wasn't that brilliant. But at a particular point, maybe like SS1, I picked up. But when I got to Auchi Polytechnic, then my auntie was the wife of the rector, and he said, I can easily get you admission. I said, I won't even go to Polytechnic. And finally, I ended up in Ahmadu Bello University. So most of those things, that's the concept people think, about.
So it has to be addressed with this
program.
With this program. And once the products are, Imperial College in London, in England, is one of the best degree awarding college you are going to find.
Of course.
Because they didn't put their university attached to their name, shouldn't make it inferior. And people also need to be educated, which is one of the things you are doing. Dr. Mohammed Kebiru, can't thank you enough for coming around, in the midst of your busy schedule. We hope to have you next time. Probably even before the 5 years.
Definitely.
We can see work in progress.
Exactly.
There are many milestones.
Can I ask one question?
It'll be very brief.
Do you get funding for your schools? Or are you allowed to get funding for external funding for your schools?
Sure. We have a number of collaborations we are servicing.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Corporate social responsibility by companies and yes.
Once you have anybody that's ready to fund anything, just let me know. I will talk to you.
You can contact me directly.
No, you don't want me to contact you.
Okay.
You want to be the go-between.
All right. So, thank you so much. We can't appreciate you enough. And viewers, thank you. You are the reason why we are here. And it's been a good time with Dr. Kebiru, and we believe you enjoyed the program. Until next time, this is Development Corridor at Landslide News.